Hi, my name is Jacqueline Tinoco, and the purpose of this video is to demonstrate my research artifact for my capstone class, Everything Old is New Again. My research topic will be discussing about the detrimental effects of child acting, aka the curse of being a child star. Disclaimer before I begin, I decided to pick this topic because I've been very fascinated that a lot of child actors that I grew up watching have come forward to talk about their own experiences on platforms such as Disney, Nickelodeon, and other small little platforms that we used to grow up watching, and how everything that we saw within a screen wasn't all rainbows and flowers, and that there was something really going on behind screens. So I want to first start off by saying that the person that really inspired me to talk about this is Jeanette McCurry. For those of you guys who don't know who Jeanette McCurry is, she is well known for playing Sam on iCarly, a show that aired on Nickelodeon from 2007 to 2012.
My name is Samantha Puckett. I'm from Seattle and I love fried chicken!
It's true. She does. She loves chicken.
Ended up being very successful and amazing. Everybody really loved the show. And she just became a very iconic character. If you look at her or were to hear her name, that's the first thing that comes up, iCarly, as well as iCarly is one of the most popular shows on Nickelodeon to ever show out besides SpongeBob. She recently released a book last year called Glad My Mom Died, in which she elaborated why she had to do child acting, in which she was basically forced into this industry. She never really wanted to do it and has to be put into this environment for financial security, and she's just really going at it. And one thing that I really like about Jeanette McCurry is when she started to do these interviews, I got to know her as a different person than I actually saw her when I grew up.
Says healing also comes through in her writing. She's working on a novel and a collection of essays, and while she sees herself as a writer, she hasn't completely ruled out a return to acting.
I just wish I could have shown my 20-year-old self me now. I would have known what I was aiming for. I would have had something.
The way that she was portrayed on iCarly, she was a very dynamic character, very outgoing and very intimidating as well, funny girl. But when you actually meet her in person and you hear her in these interviews, she's actually very soothing, relaxing, calmful, understanding. It's just a completely different personality from what I grew up watching. Other child actors that I do want to include, even though Jeanette McCurry will be my most spotlight on here, is going to be Ariana Grande. I won't mention her as much, but she is also very important to this research because Ariana Grande is also a very big victim in this issue because she was also made to make really weird foot videos on Nickelodeon, and I will insert a video right now in which she knows that that was incorrect to do. And when we were little, I would always question myself, why were they doing this? So this all correlates to one director named Dan Schneider. He is the director of iCarly as well as the director of Victorious, in which Ariana Grande took a good play in, and other shows as well. Then I'm also going to include Zoe 101, in which this one girl named Alexis Nicholas talked about her own thoughts about the reboot of Zoe
102 reboot. What do you say about what's happening with the reboot right now?
Honestly, I just feel that since there have been more than me who has come forward, that it just kind of feels counterintuitive to support a network.
So I actually want to start off by talking the history about these detrimental effects. These actually go all the way back, not just on cable TV with these shows. And it also still exists within today, and I will discuss that more towards the conclusion. So I'm going to talk about Shirley Temples. Then I'm going to move towards Brooke Shields, who was a really well-known iconic actor during the 70s, and then towards the 2000s with cable TV such as iCarly and Victorious and other small shows that aired on Nickelodeon or Disney. I will be presenting the positive. I do want to have some common ground onto this because I don't think that everyone does have a bad experience being a child actor, but both sides need to come in together to note that you may not always have the best pathway towards being a child actor. And then I'll move forward to closing how this still kind of existed. So before I begin discussing about Shirley Temples, I want to first discuss about the 3 different pathways you can go by being a child actor. You can either be very successful, 1. 2, you might end up having a very insane drug addiction. And 3, you might not end up successfully transitioning into an adult actor, but you might end up just doing a regular job from 9 to 5. That's an example I could say. A fun fact, this will go really nicely with Shirley Temples. She actually ended up not continuing her adult acting career. She ended up being a politician. So another regular job that isn't considered anything famous or Hollywood aspect to it. So I want to start off with the history. Let's talk about Shirley Temples. So the history of Shirley Temples is something that I really find very fascinating, is that she has a really great connection to Jeanette McCurry, is that she was also placed into this environment because her mother wanted her to do this. And the issue about this is that many parents like to place their kids into the entertainment industry because sometimes they weren't able to be a child actor, or they didn't have the opportunity to be on the spotlight to have the attention. So they use their child as a way to say, like, I didn't necessarily succeed being a child actor, but my child did, so she did or he did something for me, is usually the excuse into why they're placed into the film industry. And according to Daddy's Theory's development of child stars in the studio system of the 1930s through the 1950s, states that they would spend hours and hours as Shirley tried on each dress to decide which dress would actually be sold. Other products Shirley endorsed were posters, paper dolls, playing cards, trading cards, costume, jewelry, hair bows, hair bonnets, handkerchiefs, blue drinking glasses with her photograph, each in a white, and often a natural extension of child star success to develop endorsement deals. So basically, she was really using her daughter as a way to validate herself that I might have not necessarily succeeded this, but my child is. And at the end of the day, this girl was only like 6 years old, and having to do all of that at such a young age is extremely a lot for a young child. And another quote that I want to add on from the same resource is that her mom felt that many moms were exploiting their child due to support their family. But her mom, however, never felt that she was exploiting Shirley, and thus felt isolated from other mothers. In a way, creation of controlled environment would prove beneficial to Shirley, as it kept her out of competition with the other young children, and also away from any diva-like behavior the children may exhibit. So then again, like I'm telling you, history repeats itself within this. Everything old is new again. The same concept. Parents were also forcing their kids into this industry for financial security, and her mom did not want to believe that. But then again, you need to kind of like bring things together, that this is still something that her mom benefits from, regardless. Even if it's not financial security, her mom is still accomplishing something that she wasn't able to accomplish. So yeah, that was something very interesting. And something that I really want to know is that Shirley Temples was making these films during the Great Depression, so that makes sense why these parents really needed some financial stability by using their children on the film industry. So I still certainly believe that Shirley Temples was still used for financial stability, because at the end of the day, people were struggling to meet ends during this time, and anything that was opened, people would take it during this time. So yeah. But as I said, she ends up doing a regular job as a politician. Her transition wasn't slightly the best. According to the same article that I mentioned earlier, on April 28th, 1940, Shirley turned 12 and entered the most awkward years for making movies. According to Hemanon Tree, though she was still an attractive child, she was too old to continue playing little girl roles believably. So basically, as she was basically getting older, when she was a young girl, she had the physical looks, the cute little chubby cheeks, the stuff that would attract a lot of people to watch her. And I guess it started to fade because, someone gets old, they don't have the same features that they would have when they were 6 years old. In fact, I do know that her mom was also getting very bothered that she was losing her baby teeth. So I thought that was a fun fact to mention on here. So yeah, her features were starting to fade a lot. And I believe here in the article it says that when she had turned 17, she used marriage as a way to escape this realm. And she also did mention the horrifying effects that did happen while she was on there. Shirley also talked about the forms of punishment the child's faced if they chose to disobey directions. One of the rules laid down by Hayes, who was a producer of the series, was to restrict mothers from being on set. This way they could extract punishment without the mother's present to object. The most severe punishment was the black box, where an unruly or uncooperative child was fastened in a box. A large box of ice was then placed in the box. The child had to sit on the ice, lie on the floor in the puddle of water, or stand up. Shirley said that uncertainty taught her to do it as directed and do it quickly, but she laughed it off in any long-term effects. So there you go again. As a young child, these things were going behind scenes, the cruel punishment that was going on, and yet again, we saw a little girl dancing on a little screen, thinking that nothing was really going on bad and that this was all good. But there was a lot more to it. So that was the first history of it. Now I'm going to transition to Brooke Shields, which Brooke Shields is a really well-known actor during the 70s. I would like to say that she was kind of like the it girl during the 70s. I'm going to insert some pictures of her because I honestly think she's very beautiful, extremely beautiful. But her looks basically were taken advantage extremely at a very young age. So she is really well known for a controversial film called Blue Lagoon. Basically, Blue Lagoon talks about these two kids that ended up getting in a Shrek wreck, and they end up being in this island, abandoned, find a way to kind of like live life without any technology or anything. And they're literally naked throughout the whole film. And keep in mind, she was only 14 years old. Only 14. Another thing that she recently talked about is she exposed her mother for allowing her daughter to be placed into these environments that were she also exposed her mom for making her model for Playboy. For those of you guys who don't know what Playboy is, yeah, there's that's pretty self-explanatory when I say Playboy. And yeah, she would have to pose and basically completely naked for magazines at the age of 11. According to I've Never Let My Girls Do a Pretty Baby, Brooke Shields turns on her mother asking why she thought it was alright to let her pose naked at 10 and star as a child prostitute at 11. So I'm going to read off this quote in which it says from that source, the actress was just 11 when she was forced to seduce Caldine. I might not be saying these names right. Then in 27, with a 27-year-old in 1978 film Pretty Baby is where she played the prostitute. So she had to do that to a 27-year-old when she was only 11. So yeah, so I'm going to basically insert a video right here where she is basically talking about how she felt about the situation as well. But even though she was placed in these like Playboy magazines, it still kind of like ties a connection to child pageants. This is a little small minor detail that I really want to add on to this video is child pageants were really a thing throughout the film industry, and I want to give a kind of like an example of what could happen if these things do go extreme. This is a little bit irrelevant, but still this person was still broadcast on live in the entertainment industry. JonBenét Ramsey, she was a 6-year-old who did a lot of pageants on Fox TV in which she was basically exploited again, wearing a lot of unnecessary clothing. Basically these childs were almost like if they were seduced, and the thing about it is a lot of child predators would watch them, and she ended up being murdered, in which her case is still not even solved to this day. So that gives you an example of how far this could even go. But now I kind of want to transition more to the 2000 era with Jeanette McCurry, Ariana Grande, and a few other people. So I am going to talk about the experience of Jeanette McCurry. So she wasn't interested in acting in the first place, and it was all her mom's dream for her to do this. And then again, financial security was an important aspect to her pursuing this career. And I'm going to read a quote from her book. So, I had a lot of anxiety about needing to eat in front of the camera in almost every episode of iCarly. It was a joke that my character was involved in. I didn't know how to deal with it at the time, says an expert from the book. In the book, she describes her mother as a person with narcissistic personality disorders and tells how years of abuse impacted her mental and physical health. Jeanette McCurry. So basically, she started to realize that this was really messing her up. If you were to see her now, then how she was 10 years ago, she does explain her eating disorder. There's a dramatic change in her weight loss, and how she basically isolated herself for a good while because she just recently came back. She was like, she kind of disappeared off of the media for a good while. According to the journal article Slut Brats and sextuplets the dangers of reality TV television for children and teen participants, is we have this idea that seeing these like young actors on TV is all good and all, and it seems really fun, but a lot of it isn't true. For instance, in the source, it says reality television plays on voyeuristic desires by ignoring the people behind the cameras, creating the illusion of absorbing an unknowing subject. The lives of its participants are captured, packaged, and broadcast without their collaboration, creating an unequal power between the television show's producers and its stars. Holland contends that when the subject is a child, the imbalance of its greater due to the child's inherent status of severance to adults. Further, she argues that the adult's glaze is never innocent when it's aimed at. So basically, what it's saying is that we're basically not seeing what's actually going behind those cameras. And I know I'm being a little repetitive, but we kind of sit there and we think that we want to be just like them because, one, they may be very pretty, they're very funny, they're able to be having this opportunity to be a child actor, and we're young and we want to be just like them. We want to meet them. We think they're cool, their hair is cool, they're beautiful, they're perfect. We want to be just like them, but in reality it's like they're not actually like that. It's just all fake, it's all acting, and all these producers are putting this on them, but in return they're not even getting benefit off of it because they're being exploited by all these directors that sexualize them, seduce them, makes them do stuff they're not even supposed to. And yet as a young kid, we think they're living the best lives behind the cameras. That's basically what this article is kind of elaborating on. But now I'm going to transition a little bit more further into the positive outcome that I'm very excited to talk about, and is not all child actors necessarily go towards a negative pathway. There's been tons of actors that have came from Disney and Nickelodeon that are so popular right now, incredibly amazing, and they're still popular and doing great to this day. And one person that comes into mind is Zendaya. For those of you guys who don't know who Zendaya is well known for playing Shake It Up as the character Rocky. And she also plays MJ on Spider-Man now, but that's more of her adult career. And one thing that I can distinguish from her and Jeanette McCurry is, in Jeanette McCurry's world, her mom basically forced her to be in the child acting. But for Zendaya, her mom never forced her. Zendaya actually wanted to act, and now she's even the head cover of Euphoria. Like, she has Euphoria, she has Spider-Man, she's in all these great opportunities. She is just doing great, as you could see. And one thing that I do want to quote is that she told Vanity in 2019 that watching her mom was magical and instilled with me a true appreciation of and devotion to the importance of education. She additionally also told Vanity Fair that, this is me quoting off from her, "My mom didn't wear makeup. I don't think that she knew that to me that was empowering, that she didn't care. I would go to my grandma's house and she would have all the good makeup. I got to see how women are able to navigate within the spaces of beauty and see that it's self-defined, it's equally beautiful however you choose it." So as you can see, her mom literally allowed her to delay into anything that she wanted. It didn't even have to be the arts. But guess what? She loved the arts and she ended up being successful. And that's something that actors like Jeanette McCurry did not want necessarily. So to conclude this at the end, I do want to talk about the It Girl. And one person that I do want to talk about is Jenna Ortega. With specifically now, she's really incredibly popular because of Wednesday, a show off of Netflix that became very popular last year. And things such as TikTok and social media have gone away to exploit these kids by one day admiring them and then the next day kind of like bashing them. And another example would kind of be like Billie Eilish. Everyone loved her in 2019. People loved her music and everything, but then people wanted to kind of like bash her because of her weight gain and her clothing change as she progresses an adult. And while Jenna Ortega is still admired by a lot of people, I think she's a really incredible, cool actor, there's still some people that will upload videos of her and name her stuff that shouldn't be named. So, yeah. But in conclusion, to tie this all up, I don't want to leave this video saying that if you're interested in the film industry, you shouldn't do it. I'm only here to just talk about the negative aspect to it and also the positive aspect to it, and how sometimes not everything that you see on screen and the child actors that you love growing had the best experience being a child actor. And that we should acknowledge and spread awareness about this, because a lot of this is still going behind screen and no one is really kind of talking about it, but now I'm glad that everyone's kind of like bringing it up now. So yeah, and to answer the question, the effects of child acting can lead to unworthy relationships, such as Jeanette McCurry and her mom had a really rocky relationship, isolation, not being opened or being away from the world for a while. That's an example with Jeanette McCurry. Mental health issues, eating disorder. That's an also effect from this as well. But like I said, there's also some positive aspects to it. You can end up being a really incredible actor, such as being in Marvel, such as Zendaya, or then again being like Selena Gomez, having your own makeup business, being a producer, and being a singer, and being the most followed woman on Instagram. That's incredible. But then again, I really love talking about this research, and I hope all these videos and interviews of them helped you understand my research process of my artifact. Thank you.